kind of do a little bit of introduction again. This is our professional panel series on careers in hospitality. My name is Bill Zimmerman. I'm the Assistant Director for Employer Engagement with the Career and Professional Development Center. And we have with us 5 presenters from across hospitality management. We also have some students joining us on Zoom, as well as some here in the room. At some point, you may see a little bit of motion in the room because we did provide lunch for the students who were able to join us in person. So those folks, probably in about 15 minutes or so, I'll just kind of make a small gesture to them so that they know, hey, go get lunch that we got for you from Chick-fil-A. But what I want to do is have each of our presenters, and I'll kind of start with who's on my screen. And that's how we'll kind of regulate the conversation. I'll kind of, as folks want to chime in or whatnot, just kind of give me like a little hey, or use the hand raise thing or whatever you choose to do. But, we've been pretty good at moderating these conversations. I know I have some seed questions that I sent the presenters, but the folks in the room, the folks on Zoom may also have questions that they want to ask, so they can feel free to do so. But first, I'd like to start off with just brief introductions of who you are and a little bit about your organization. And again, because we have a number of panelists, let's try to keep that to 30 seconds or so we can get to some of the questions. So I'll start with who's on my screen in the top left, and that's Doug from the Pennsylvania Gaming.
Hi, Doug Harbach. I'm the Communications Director for the PA Gaming Control Board, and I have been to Indiana a number of times over the last 10 years within the hospitality school to talk about not only our regulation of the gaming industry in Pennsylvania, which includes the casinos, but all of the jobs that are available in that industry also.
Okay, thank you, Doug. We're going to go, and I'm sorry I forget your first name, but Ms. McCann.
Hi, I'm Cheryl McCann. I am the Vice President of Human Resources at Metz Culinary Management. And Metz Culinary Management is a hospitality company. We're an on-site food service company, have headquartered in Pennsylvania, have about 350 pieces of business up and down the East Coast.
Okay,
Thank
excellent.
you.
Thank you. Sarah?
Sorry, hello everybody. Sarah Rupert. I'm the General Manager of Indiana Country Club here in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Representing the wonderful culinary and food service opportunities and hospitality opportunities in the private club sector. So hello.
Okay. You're welcome. Adam?
Hi, everyone. I'm the Director of Outlets at Grand Hyatt, Washington. I've been with Hyatt for about 6 years now. I've been at 5 different properties. Graduated from IUP in 2016, so I'm an alum there. And I did hospitality management with a minor in business.
Awesome. And then finally, Nicole.
Hi, I'm Nicole Day. I am now owner of Ember and Stone Events. I'm a wedding planner. We do destination weddings, elopements, micro weddings, all over the place. I'm based in Las Vegas, so probably have our averagely around 300 weddings a day here. So we get to celebrate couples all over the place in Ireland and Joshua Tree, Yosemite, all over the place. So lots of fun. I graduated in 2016, so it's been great.
Okay, great. Thank you all for joining us today. I guess I'll start with one of my first seeded questions here, which is, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions the general public has about hospitality or your specific sector of hospitality management? Because I know we have folks from gaming, from the hotel, from the culinary, from the event planning. So anybody who wants to go first, feel free, just let me know.
I'll talk about the gaming, and that includes casinos. It also includes all of the online sports wagering and online casino games now. I think a couple of things is one that all too often I think that individuals are a little afraid to get into the gaming sphere, but because of maybe thinking it as a corrupt industry over the years, but it's no longer anything like that. These are publicly traded companies. They offer a lot of job opportunities in a really myriad of things. Certainly the jobs that people think of in casinos, which are on the floor, everything from dealers to other services on a gaming floor. But there are back end things from accountants. There are more and more restaurants and hotels that have been built at Pennsylvania casinos. So there are really right now about 17,000 jobs just in the land-based casino industry. And that includes, again, a number of things that fall into the hospitality realm. So it's a good industry to look at. The one thing everybody should be aware of is that it is a industry where you need to be licensed. So if you decide to work in a casino, and there are internship opportunities in casinos around the state also, there are 16 in operation in PA. You do have to be backgrounded and then licensed by the Gaming Control Board before you're allowed to work there.
Good. Other folks? Go ahead, Nicole.
I can also touch on the casino side of things. It is an amazing industry. Even here in Las Vegas, there's so many different roles and jobs that you can do in the casino, whether it is a VIP host where you're working with these big, incredible people that are spending millions of dollars and losing millions of dollars, but, you know, offering them lots of fun things that they keep coming back and everything like that. So it is a very fun industry, but, and lots of opportunity there. But on my side of things in wedding planning, it is the glamorous job, I feel like, in one of the hospitality roles and just event planning in general. And I feel like too, it is a lot of work. And like, I feel like sometimes people just see the things online and the big wedding at the end of the day, or they watch Jennifer Lopez in the wedding planner and think that's it. That is just the one day that you're leading up to. So lots of back end work, lots of connections and building connections with every part of the hospitality industry, which is really amazing. So you'll be talking with different caterers, food and beverage, venue management, everything. So everything I learned at IUP, I absolutely learned and use every day, whether it's my different human resources with every department that we work in or something. So it's not just all the pretty stuff at the end of the day. That's what a lot of our hospitality jobs are. There's a lot of grunt work in it too, but our roles definitely have something where after you do all the work, you have a beautiful product in the end. And I feel like that's a really rewarding part of what our hospitality jobs have. So, yes.
Other folks? Go ahead.
So it's interesting. These questions, Bill, were excellent to just kind of process and think about how much has changed in the past 2 years. So I would say that my answer is flipped on its head from 2019 to now. And I think if we were to pull one key point, it would be in 2019, if you would ask me this question, I would have said that, you know, graduating from school and getting a hospitality management degree, kids cannot expect to get management roles immediately. It takes time, it takes energy and effort and experience to get those roles. But it's very different now. That's definitely still the case, but there's a shortage for sure in the industry for operations managers, specifically in hotels. And I think there's an amazing opportunity for people that do want to get into this industry because it's just less competitive than it used to be. You know, a lot of people during COVID, they exited operations, they're doing sales, work from home, different industries altogether. So it's definitely a lot tougher because we have less people, but there's tremendous opportunity for people to grow and grow quickly, especially in hotels like Hyatt, Marriott, all the big hotel companies. They're looking for people all the time. So that's what I would say.
Thanks, Adam. Kathy, were you going to say something? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you know, I'm from the on-site food service business. So you're talking about, you know, something every time when I used to, and I think I could agree with Adam, you know, 2019, it was a totally different story. But now we really have one of the biggest misconceptions in our industry is that, you know, we strive to be creative. So our guests are so particular and so demanding, and our guests are students in schools, in colleges, and patients in hospitals, and corporate dining accounts. So we have a lot of discriminating guests who are demanding high culinary quality, and it really has been a change in how we do things. And I think our industry has really opened up to what Adam has said, is that we're willing to train for the where we weren't before. We were always looking for experience, and we're not looking for that now. Now we're looking for the personality, the attitude, some of the skill sets, and we're willing to train to make sure that we bring people in that really want to be in this business.
Great. And Sarah, anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo kind of what Adam said as far as, students thinking that a degree in paper is enough to get them that introductory management role in whatever business or whatever sector of hospitality that they're interested in. So I'm kind of here to say, hey, I have this very unique opportunity for a lot of IUP students that's literally 2.5 miles down the road that can almost teach you hotel, resort management, golf, basically fine dining, wedding planning. We do 28 to 30 weddings a year on top of all of our other events that we do for our members. So my answer, like many of yours, is a little bit different than it would have been in 2019. In 2019, golf and private clubs were kind of a little bit on the downward slope. But what we've seen in COVID is that there's been this resurgence in the importance and the value of private clubs and having that safe space to be able to congregate with people that and be able to enjoy a socializing, a social experience aside from just a public restaurant in town. So I just want to echo and say that my mission right now with the Club Managers Association and getting involved a little bit more with IUP is to get that message across to students that practical experience is vital to that degree, and take the opportunity where you can get it as far as learning from a lot of these industry professionals, whether here in town or elsewhere. So
I think the tail end of this conversation is a great segue into another one of the seed questions, and then I'll kind of turn it over to see if any of the students here in the room have any questions. But we've alluded to the changes that have happened since 2019, and it's the elephant in the room, the whatever you want to call it at this point. And I know we could probably talk for days just on what has changed between 2019 and now in this industry specifically, but are there any other points beyond the ability to maybe ascend a little quicker than you could have previously? Are there some other things that you would want to hit, or other points that you would want to kind of address about the changes and things that COVID has changed in the hospitality industry? Go ahead, Adam.
And I won't take up too much time, but the first thing I think about when you mention that is we're doing more with less, and I'm sure everybody would say the same thing. When you look at the P&L, when you look at the money we've spent the past 2 years, owners of our hotels are saying, "Wow, you were able to make X amount of money with way less staff." So the expectations have changed greatly. We were definitely not as productive in 2019 and 2018, and before that. And because of that, they're starting to blend roles, which is kind of one of the, and I think it's good to talk about it if students are watching this. It's kind of one of the moves that I made. I started Hyatt just about 6 years ago. I worked front desk, and then as an agent, moved my way to housekeeping as a manager, and then went up to Chicago as front office, and then went back down to Charleston at a resort and worked front office, bell valet, and concierge. And this is my first F&B role. From a management perspective that I've done. And I wanted to do an F&B role in this position, in my next position, versus being a little bit more centered towards rooms, because of the entire idea that we are doing less and more and jobs are starting to blend. So in hotels, if you're familiar with the structure, there has been typically a director of rooms, and then a separate person who's a director of food and beverage. But now it's very different. It's just a director of operations that oversees everything. So the days of being hyper focused in one area and moving all the way up the ladder in one specific focus is kind of ending. So I think for students, it doesn't matter what you want to get into. Try to get as much experience as possible, because the more well-rounded you are with your experience leading into your career, the better off you're going to be. You're going to feel more confident going into different roles. You're going to be more valuable to employers. I don't know if anybody's ever read the book Lynchpin, but it talks a lot about how important it is to be almost non-replaceable. And I think that's one of the most important things students can do right now.
Yeah, I'll chirp in, Doug, with the gaming board. Few things. One is just so you know, just like every other sector within the hospitality industry, casinos in Pennsylvania are struggling to get employees, and so there are a lot of opportunities now to get in there. Let me echo what Adam said, is that it is good to get your foot in the door within any level of a casino industry for hospitality. For example, you may want to go in there and work as a dealer at a casino. That is a great way to learn how the operation works. And then you can certainly move up into other supervisory roles from there. But a lot of individuals who currently run casinos or in management began at that level and learned the business in that way. I can tell you that the industry, even struggling with employees, is doing very, very well post-pandemic. It is one of those industries where I think with people cooped into the house for so long, they have run back to casinos in Pennsylvania and online sites too, but casinos in Pennsylvania in droves, where I'm going to release revenue numbers for March that are going to show record revenue numbers since casinos opened 16 years ago. And the last thing that's an effect of COVID that you may not be aware of is that casinos were one of the few places in the 2008 Clean Indoor Air Act in Pennsylvania that still allowed smoking. Most public places did not. But on the casino floors, there is a 50-50 split, smoking, non-smoking, that the casinos could adhere to. Of the 16 casinos, 4 of them, since smoking was banned for a year period because of COVID, have not gone back to allowing smoking. And there is a lot of movement toward the legislature in changing the law that then would ban smoking indoors at casinos. So COVID very well may lead to one of the last places where smoking was allowed to being outlawed.
Interesting. Other folks' thoughts on how COVID has impacted? Go ahead, Nicole.
So I was a part of a huge layoff. Like, I'm not even sure if any of you were, but I had my dream job. I was a destination management creative service manager, which I created and designed events for these huge, all the different like conventions and everything that came to town. And whenever I got laid off, I was like, I just did not know what I was going to do. I was so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I only have so much of a job resume, you know, what do I do? So I feel like you have to be open to all opportunities as well, and use what you have learned to pivot any way that you can. And so for me, I started, whenever I first graduated, I started in food and beverage, and I liked it, but I liked the event side of food and beverage. So I worked my way into catering so that I could learn more about the event side of food and beverage. And then whenever I was doing that, I also did part-time work for a wedding planner here in Vegas. So, because I wanted to learn that role, but I wasn't sure if I would love that role. So did that, got the experience, and opened up my door and more opportunities and stuff I've done on my resume. And then after that, I was a food service director in a hospital. Did not like working in a hospital. Great. That's wonderful to know, though, so that you can know what you like, what you don't like. I did an internship in Lake Powell at a hotel in their rooms division. I did housekeeping. I was in front desk. I did as many internships as I possibly could so I could learn in every single aspect, so I could learn what I liked and what I didn't like. I worked for the Steelers. I was in their event marketing and did that for their events. And I loved the events part of it, but didn't like that I was gone all the time, and every sport game I was gone and I had to work it, blah, blah. I mean, in football, you only have, I don't even know, very less than hockey and baseball and basketball games. So always like looking at those things whenever you're looking for the roles and trying to get as much experience in what you think you want to do and doing it as an internship or asking for free work or anything, because you don't know, like in your head, you may think like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. Like, this is my dream job. And then when you do it, you may hate it. And that's great though. You should do as many different things as possible, because you don't know what you're going to love until you try it, and you will find your place eventually. So that's my advice. And COVID helped with that. I think COVID helped tons of people with that, because some people were stuck in jobs that they may not have liked. And this gave them the push and the opportunity to look for other things and think about themselves and say, what do I really like doing? And at the end of the day, that's very important. You spend so many hours at work. I probably work like 70, 80 hours a week. I absolutely love what I do, but I'm up till 4 a.m, getting up at 9. And, you know, it's all about what you really enjoy, because if you love it, it doesn't matter, you know. COVID help that.
Anybody else before I turn it over to see if the folks in the room have a question? Okay, seeing none. Any questions from here in the room? No pressure. Okay. If not, I have none.
I have a question for them.
Okay, Nicole, go ahead.
All right, what is your job that you're looking to work in?
So for those of you who are in the room, obviously I've got one student who is not in hospitality. He's one of our career service, our career development associates.
Awesome.
Also got a full mouth right now, so.
I'm available.
But go ahead, go ahead, Nathan, you go first since I called you out already.
I'm a nursing major. I'm hoping to go into either operating room nursing or pediatrics.
Okay. The other folks in the room?
I'm gonna try to do physical therapy. So I'm gonna try to do occupational therapy.
Occupational therapy.
Very cool.
So not quite the crowd necessarily, but who knows? They may find themselves in an organization that.
Hey, we do a lot of customer service, and a part of your roles is also customer service. You know, like you're dealing with people in and out every day. So, I mean, even taking a hospitality class, if like, you know, customer service based or something, could help your roles in dealing with patients that may be crazy or like, you know, all the things. So I think it's great that you're in this. This is wonderful.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all for coming. But that also kind of segues into another one of the, at least one of the planned questions that I have. Let's talk about skills for a second. What are some of the skills, some of the things that students should be looking to develop in their college experience here? And I know we've touched on it briefly about making sure that you go as broad as possible. But go ahead. Yeah.
That's Doug. Doug, I'll 2 things. One is I agree with that, and Nicole brought it up too. I think you throw mud on the wall and see what sticks. I think you don't know what you're going to be good at until you try it. So, you know, and it also broadens your overall learning of the business. The other thing that I have found that has been great in hospitality and just about any other career is to really hone your communication skills. Make sure that not only are you good at written communications, but you're also good at verbal communications. Those will take you very, very far in the hospitality industry and candidly in any industry that you're getting into.
Agreed. And I would add to that, Doug, I think, you know, the communication is one of the keys. any industry is service mindset. So, we talked about, I think everyone there was healthcare or, field. That needs a service mindset, and as well, and always to, remember to be willing to learn anything. And I think it was Adam or Nicole, both of you both said that. It's like, there's not a better, experience than knowing a little bit about everything, because you need to know that when you're coming into any kind of industry. I said, we're basically looking for food service directors and people that work in hospitality, but in order to run the company, we have every department here. We have a purchasing department, a marketing department, a human resource department. We have, everything, an accounting department, everything to run the company. And I would think that a lot of our team members that work here have kind of dabbled in a little bit of hospitality, but, as a part-time job. And I think that has served them well in whatever career choice that they ended up making.
Adam, go for it.
So yeah, totally, guys. You're right. Communication. I took some notes on this questions that you asked, Bill, and that was the first thing I said is communication skills. I said communication skills, creativity, self-awareness, ability to manage yourself and your time effectively. And the last thing I put is hyper focus on relationships and networking. It is all about who you know. It's the connections you make. It's how you keep those connections, how you groom people, that are training to be in your shoes one day. It's all one big network, and you got to take care of people. We're all in the business of people, regardless of what industry we're in. And there's so much more you can do other than just experience. I think school taught me a lot. The tests aren't so, taking a test is very different than how you communicate with like 15 people in a room when they're very upset with you and a HR related issue. There's things that you just cannot translate. But there's also ways to continuously learn. And what I've stumbled upon, and I got really into it during lockdown originally, is podcasts. There's so many free podcasts out there where you can just like flip it on your commute in your car, and you've got somebody interviewing someone else who's very knowledgeable, important, done a lot with their life, and you might as well be sitting in the room with them. And the fact that we have all this information at our fingertips is absolutely wild. So I'm big into, there's a podcast called The Knowledge Project with Shane Parrish. He interviews some of the best people on the planet. Restaurant Unstoppable, if you're in the world of F&B, there's just so much good information out there, and constantly feeding your brain with new trends and hearing success stories from others, failure stories from others. That is really going to set you apart. It is all about the experience, and what you learn every day are like building blocks, and you're working on this tower, and you eventually want to get that building complete so it's done. And what you find is when you get to the next level, a situation comes to you and you may not have dealt with that specific situation, but you've dealt with 5 other situations that all have a little piece of the newest situation, and you have that experience to know how to deal with it. And putting those pieces together and being self-aware to like understand that and monitor yourself, I think that's really what can separate people. And that's what makes you successful in the industry. So it's not always about being the smartest or the best test taker, or knowing more than others. It's about knowing how to act in certain situations.
Great. Anybody else? Because otherwise I'd like to move on to the next question. And I think I'll start with Sarah for this one, because I kind of want to hear, and again, since we're recording this will be available for anybody to look at then, but talk to us about what does your typical day-to-day look like, either for you or in your organization. And again, I know for many of these positions, it might be, well, tell me what day it is, and I'll tell you what the day-to-day looks like, because it's very different.
Well, basically, I mean, while some of the pieces are routine, and I didn't chime in on the last question because everyone in this panel did a phenomenal job addressing all of it. It was very well put, everyone. So thank you. But yeah, so basically, my day to day is doing my walkthrough through the clubhouse, making sure that my departments are all there and doing their respective roles. and then basically tackling whatever open hole I have in staffing and addressing that. So for instance, this morning I came in and checked in on my email and then stepped away to move furniture for an event that I have tomorrow, and get that set up because I'm short of housekeeping staff. Rolled right into a conversation about our Easter Sunday brunch and our kids' Easter party this weekend, as far as counts go and what modifications need to be made. Based on our membership's tendency to make reservations last minute, and going from 20 people for a kids' Easter party as of last Friday to 99 as of today, and making our adjustments there, to logging into this meeting, to following up with my course and grounds crew on where they stand with their stuff. So I try to meet with my departments throughout the week. We do a weekly staff meeting, but my day-to-day, while sometimes it seems like it should always be the same, I'm handling something different every single day. So that's my day-to-day.
People doing stuff last minute, that never happens around anywhere, right?
No, never, never, never.
Other folks, day to day, what is your kind of typical day, typical week look like? Go ahead, Nicole.
So I basically have like 2 different days. So I have like today, for example, we have a wedding today. So I'm going to get a nice little bridal bag for my bride and couple today. I'm going to pick up any rentals, pick up any floral, charcuterie boards, linen that I need for the setup today. I will go over down to the strip, hang out with the couple while she gets hair and makeup done. We offer like male grooming services. So sometimes we'll have a barber come to the hotel as well, shape up the guy because we care about you as well. Next, we'll have them get ready. We'll head out. We do a lot of weddings in the desert and like national parks and state parks. So today we're actually heading over to Red Rock Canyon, and we're going to go set up an arch piece with our florist that's going to come help us out because it's a lot of stuff today. And then we will set up everything at this campground because they would like to do a campfire. They're from Australia, so they've never done s'mores before, so they wanted to do that instead of a cake. They have a couple family members coming, so we're setting up a large style table for everyone to sit at. They're going to have charcuterie after ceremony, s'mores and all that fun stuff. After ceremony, we'll take the couple, go do bridals, run around some rocks, all the fun stuff. And then after that, of course, our s'mores, and then head back for the evening. After every event, I post the behind the scenes of every event. I found that this really helps with my marketing, and it lets the people that are looking to book me feel, touch, and like taste how their day could be. So it's we want you to feel like, we do elopement. So an elopement is a wedding with like a very small amount of people, or micro weddings like under 75. So sometimes it could just be the bride and groom, or groom and grooming a bride and bride that we have that day. And, it's like showing their family members how it went, all the fun stuff. So that's usually a wedding day. And then we'll post like Instagram, all the fun stuff, make some TikToks. People love it. And then on a normal day, I'm answering emails, going and picking up like rentals for our weddings the next day, creating mood boards, design boards for our couples, getting on phone calls. You could have phone calls with your clients from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you have to do proposals and email everyone back and get everything done all in that one day. My goal is always to have a 0 at my inbox. Of course, sometimes it doesn't happen, but so lots of fun, lots of communicating with vendors, and you're working on multiple weddings and events at a time. Just right now we have 60 events for this year coming up, and then we have already 2023's booking, so you have to manage and work on all your things at one time. So lots of fun. But yeah, that's it.
Other folks? Adam?
Yeah, so every single position I've done, it's been a little bit different. But being in my role, so in the beginning I said director of outlets. So it's basically the hotel lingo for director of bars and restaurants. So my property now is 900 rooms. We have a dinner restaurant that also serves lunch. We have a breakfast restaurant that is separate. And then we have our club lounge, which is for loyalty members, VIPs, and things like that. So I oversee those 3 areas. My current day-to-day is very different because we are short 2 managers. And the third is taking care of his mother at nighttime. So I've been covering basically night shifts for the past month. And I just joined their team 2 months ago. So hit the ground running. Most of my day-to-day is planning, organizing, looking at staffing, productivity, service. I don't know if anybody's read the book, Setting the Table, but Danny Meyer talks about constant gentle pressure. So just constantly throughout the day, making sure that we're leading by example. I'm on the floor, helping run food when I need to, listening, observing, taking care of my employees, which has really come to the forefront, especially this year and coming out of 2020, taking care of the employees. And then also, strategic planning for the guest experience at our restaurant. So we're doing menu design, menu revamp, working closely with our chefs to figure out what's selling, what's not selling, what do we need to change, what are we getting good feedback about. The fun part of my job is doing tastings with all these local breweries who literally will just show up and be like, hey, you want to drink some beer? And I'm like, I can't say no to that. So we do tastings, swapping out our draft tabs to kind of figure out what's selling. We're a business at the end of the day, we got to make money. But what's interesting in hotels is it's not all about making money. It's also about taking care of the guests and making sure they're leaving great feedback, good scores, so that we can keep our reputation to keep making money. And then email management is a huge part of what I do, and it has been for some time. Because our property is so big, there's so many different channels of communication. And one day I could be communicating with the linen company who didn't deliver napkins yesterday, or the events team who's doing a tasting this afternoon, or a guest who personally came to me and is talking about doing a 25-person event in a restaurant on Friday. General manager, director of operations, front desk, because things are happening. There's just so many channels, and managing your inbox, responding to people quickly, keeping tabs on things is very challenging. And yeah, Nicole, inbox empty at the end of the day. And if you don't know about how to snooze emails, look it up. It'll change your life. So I do a lot of that. So that was kind of scattered, but it really is my day-to-day, not always in that particular order. And there's some days where we just get smoked in the restaurant. We've only got 130 seats. And the other night we did 470 covers, which is absolutely berserk. And I'm not working with the team we had in 2019. I'm working with half of them, plus some interns that barely speak English. So it is incredibly challenging, but a great learning experience.
Sounds like it's very easy to get in the weeds there. Other folks, day to day.
Oh, I'll go next. I'll really talk about the day-to-day and the life of one of our general managers in our food service operations, which because my day-to-day is, you don't want to hear about my day-to-day. I'm in human resources, so I could go on and on. But our food service directors, really their day-to-day is, they come in, and one of the things that it really is built around our culture is really making sure that, and I think other people have mentioned it, is taking care of the team. So, their day-to-day starts with making sure they're going around, greeting everyone, making sure everybody's in place where they need to be, checking on staffing, making sure that people are have what they need to get their jobs done. And then it's about, checking the menus and making sure that we got all the food that we need. And that's been a real challenge now with supply chain. So they have to learn how to pivot. So maybe they don't have everything they need, and they've got to, kind of be ready to put something else on the menu. And then it's about networking and making sure not only our guests have a great experience, but our team has a great experience. And then, we work in other people's houses. So we do the food service in places that we don't own and operate. So we need to make sure that our clients and partners are happy. So there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of networking, and there's really But then there's all of the managing the people and making sure that you're taking care of the needs of our team members to make sure that, they have the right days off that they want, so that, they're going to be able to do their best work. So it's a juggling between, taking care of the day-to-day operational stuff, and then making sure that you're taking care of the day-to-day people stuff, which is probably one of the hardest things to do. And it's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give is learn how to manage people, but you're never going to learn it without just kind of going through it and making sure that, kind of being collaborative with other people is how most of that stuff gets done.
Doug, you want to talk about what your day's like?
Well, as a state employee and a regulator, mine probably doesn't touch a whole lot into the industry. I can tell you that if in the gaming industry, you should be aware that it is a 24/7, 365 industry. So it may be that as you get your foot in the door, that you may be working overnights, you may be working at swing shifts. There are certainly different types of job arrangements that you could have as you move into there. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, I think you'll find that in most of the casinos in PA, there's a pretty good atmosphere for the employees. They really sell team at their facilities. I mean, even just so you know, even those who are dealers at table games, you don't get the tip directly to you. It goes into a tip jar that's shared with everybody. So they really do a real team format. One of the other things is you're always called upon to be a bit effervescent in certain and be real customer friendly. I can tell you a sidelight, when some of the casinos first started offering table games because they were slot machines only about 10 years ago. One of the casinos, in order to find people to be table game dealers, held basically a show to allow them to come in and display their talents, whether they sing, dance, whatever they do magic. They found that the most effervescent people, the people that were more outgoing, were the ones that were going to thrive in that kind of environment.
That's a very interesting idea. In looking at where we are time-wise, and I know we talked a little bit about, some basic practical advice already. So I kind of want to go in a different way to start wrapping this one up. I would say for all of you, if you could get out your crystal ball or your tarot cards or whatever device you want to choose, tea leaves, chicken bones, what have you, and where do you see things going in either your area of hospitality management or just hospitality management in general in the next 5 or so years? I know one example of this would be at an event that we had here on campus with our advisory board about a week or so ago. I was speaking with somebody who their experience at a hotel recently was they got extra towels and stuff out of a vending machine. They swiped their hotel card, and I see Adam shaking his head like, "Yep, that's a thing." That she swiped her card, got her new some of her new linens out of a vending machine. So, what are some of the things that you all see coming, in the next 5 or 10 years? And again, I know some of this is definitely, quite frankly, COVID driven.
I think from a business perspective, I see travel still staying very strong. And I do think that destination properties are going to really take a foothold in where people want to go. The big boxes is what we call them. Not that they're going to disappear, but it's going to be really challenging to get them back to the heyday per se. I worked at Hyatt Regency Chicago, and we had 2,032 rooms. And in 2019, we were just making so much money. We were having $1 million days. It was just crazy. And then when everything happened, we went from sold out to having about 10 to 20 rooms occupied on average per night. And it still hasn't come back. They still have not had a sold out night since. And a lot of what these groups are thinking is they can go other places than Chicago or New York, these expensive cities, and they can do more destinations. My last property was Wild Dunes Resort in South Carolina, and we were a very unique property with about 600 units, maybe about 1,000 bedrooms. So we had 3 different hotels, and we also had 200 vacation rentals. And we were able to kind of offer everyone something. Families looking for a 7-bedroom oceanfront house, or a more casual boardwalk inn was one of our hotels, more casual beachfront property, or Sweetgrass Inn, which was our newest place, more of an eclectic younger crowd with pools and bars and things like that. And we exceeded April 2021's forecast by 100%. And we continue to see that trend through 2021 because people just were ready to get out of the house and go to destination style properties. So you'll see Hyatt specifically is really focusing on getting as many of these properties as possible. They just acquired Apple Leisure Group, which is a massive hotel management company that had primarily all resorts. So now Hyatt, which is crazy because when I started with the company, just in 2016, I think we only had like 800 properties. We are now the hotel brand that has the most resorts in the entire hotel industry. So it's small luxury hotels, so like that 150 to 350 luxury boutique style, or destination properties. Those are going to blow up in the next couple of years. I wouldn't say 5 to 10. I mean, it's funny because I'll copy and paste my answers to your questions, Bill. That's the one question where I type good answers, I think, for most of them. And then for that one, I just put LOL because you don't know. We have no idea. And it's naive to think that we know, but at least that's the trend I'm seeing now. Hope that's helpful.
Yeah, let me dovetail on that. And then 2 other things I don't want to leave here without part of advice today. Number one is you're correct, Adam. And we're seeing that in the gaming industry where more and more of the casinos, which started kind of as box casinos, with just a restaurant or 2 in them, now are building complete resort hotels, entertainment complexes. They're becoming more of the type of casino you would see in Vegas, so that people stay there longer. So the job opportunities are greater and greater. The 2 things I don't want to leave here today, because I always like to talk about these with both the IUP students when I'm there and also with students at other schools, is this. Number one is when you're ready to move into the job, the job area for a career, start thinking about that now when you're a freshman, when you're a sophomore, and others when it comes to character. You should have a social media presence. But at the same time, today is when you want to make sure that you're not putting things up on social media that are going to be detrimental to you when you try to go toward securing a job. Number one is from our end is character, along with everything else, including fingerprints and tax records and everything else that we look at in order for you to gain a license to work in a casino. You also, the casinos and really any other industry in hospitality is also going to look at your social media presence. And that says a lot about you, negative and positive. So make sure that's clean and you're not putting things up there that would be an embarrassment to you or something that would push an employer away from bringing you in for a position. The other thing is, and I only say this to those in school, but also I taught it to my children who pushed back on me for a long time on this, which was, calling me, to use a good word, as an ass kisser, is that you need contacts. You need contacts. You start with them at your first job there. During college, you start in your internship, but you need to find individuals that will help lead you up the ladder. Now, you have to perform well for them. They're not going to go overboard and help you within the industry if you're not a hard worker and they don't want to embarrass themselves by helping to promote you. But it is good to have those contacts. That is how you can, and candidly, people like to think, oh, I did this on my own. That's not really the whole equation here. You need to have those people that lead you up the ladder. And that also means that at times socialize with some of the people that you work with, so you get to know each other. And those people that will be your mentors will take you up the ladder. Those are two things that I really like to make sure that you know as you embark on your careers.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate also the hearing about the character part. I used to be a resident director here at IUP prior to taking on the role that I'm in now. So I've run into a lot of students where we had to have a conversation about, is this how you want to be perceived in the future?
Yeah, don't post controversial jokes. Don't complain about your employer or other people. And the other thing is if you do get, for example, with us, there's a lot of potential employees at the casino who don't get licensed by us, not because they had something on their record, such as maybe they got arrested for a DUI once in their life. It's because they failed to disclose it. And that can be worse than the offense itself. So be honest, and also make sure that you're not doing things on those social medias that really are offensive to the potential.
Other folks, trends for the future, or maybe sort of final thoughts as we enter the last 5 minutes here? Go ahead, Nicole.
Just from like my perspective, everyone wants an experience. So my clientele is still a little bit millennial, like around like, I just turned 27 yesterday. So like around that age, but Gen Z is my next client. So I have to be always thinking about, okay, how am I going to be marketing towards those people? And how am I going to be, what are they looking for? And everyone is looking for, and just in general, everyone's looking for an experience. Everyone wants it to be intimate and intentional and purposeful. And if people will spend money for it to look really good too. So I think it's important to also just like see and like looking towards the future about what will be that next trend. Even it's also like looking for roles too that you can't be replaced by a machine. Like, and it's so sad that like we're already at that point, but like I feel like even in Vegas, so we have tons of restaurants that like instead of servers, you can just order up at the front. You have a host, you have a bartender, great. But like, you're ordering at the front with one person and then that takes away the server. We have a restaurant that is a bar. It literally is a robot that makes your drink. You put it in and it does all this crazy stuff and it makes you a Long Island iced tea. So, you can't, some roles you definitely can't replace. Our high end, like 5-star restaurants those services, the wine sommeliers, all that, definitely can't replace that experience, but people are going there because it's an experience. So I definitely think that whatever you do, if you can make an experience out of something in the role, you will continue to get the clients, continue to get the people that are looking for that. Just like the boutique hotels and all those things, like absolutely would stay there over somewhere that is just offering me breakfast, honestly. And, even for my people, it's all about like, they want to come to Vegas and they want to do like helicopter tours. They want to shoot guns because you can do that out here in the desert and all that stuff. So it's, making sure that it's selling this big picture of what can be and looking at that future client, be like, okay, that's what they're going to want. So that, and like in that aspect, I think just in general, what I've learned throughout my career and what to do is I swear to gosh, like my favorite word is pivot, because the day will never go how it's supposed to, ever. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what's on the agenda, what's on the timeline. It will never go that way. You have to always be able to expect something to go wrong. And you have to take it and not be upset. You have to take it and be like, all right, what's the next step? Not, oh my gosh, like staffing, this is terrible. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to step in as the manager. I'm going to run around, take some orders, send out some stuff, instead of like being upset about it and upset at a team member or something. Just like pivot, and be proactive. I cannot even tell you how much you will go so far just being proactive. I definitely have interns from UNLV that work for me, and I feel like sometimes it's very hard to express that. And even like, so we have like 30 minutes to set up a wedding, and we have an arch piece, we have rugs, we have chairs for 30 people, and we have to run down a rocky path to get everything set up. And it's knowing that, you know, okay, we have all these chairs, what do we do? Like, you should not have to have all direction from your manager. You should be able to take the next step and, you know, do the role. And that will take you so far as just thinking. It's incredible. So yeah, and just do what you really love. I mean, like, I can't stress, especially in our industry, you work a ton. So if you really like are passionate and love it at the end of the day, that also will make you tons of freaking money, because your passion will fuel your fire. And also, I've worked in tons of I worked for Aramark, I worked for, like I said, the Steelers, all these people in these corporate roles, and there are other things. And I know that like everyone is in corporate right now, but there are lots of opportunities there to work, and you can work for yourself. You can be you can own a food truck, you can own your own catering company, you can do your own event company. There's so many things that you can do on your own, and you know, working for yourself is so rewarding, and you work a lot, but in the end, it's awesome. So, you know, work a couple corporate things, learn every single thing you can, work with as many people as you can, and then keep working towards what you want your goal to be. So, yes. Do the grunt work. Gosh.
Anybody else final thoughts? I know we're right up on time, so I want to be cognizant of that. Okay, well, if not, again, I want to thank the 5 of you for being on the line with us today. Again, we will post this to YouTube as soon as I edit a little, clean it up a little bit, you know, make sure that the ending, beginning are all looking nice and whatnot. But other than that, I appreciate all of you for coming and for being at this today. And thank you very much.